What's up, guys? Are y'all here? Okay, cool, awesome. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be here. This has been an interesting journey. I've traveled a lot in the past week, and I was tired last night, but I'm grateful that I have a lot of energy today. And I'm just going to share some pieces with you guys. Hopefully you can relate. Just want to let you guys know one thing. If you hear something you agree with, for those who are not into like poetry or spoken word, we snap primarily because sometimes if you clap, then if you clap, then it kind of, you miss whatever the next thing is being said because we don't really stop once we start going. Cool? Can we test it out? There are a lot of beautiful young women at this school. I see one girl like, yes, I am. That's what, for sure. There's a lot of good-looking dudes at this school. See? You guys are messed up. All right, let's get into it. The first piece I want to share with you is just my story. It's my testimony. I went through a lot at a very, very early age. A lot of abuse, just a lot of physical abuse, sexual abuse, a lot of verbal abuse. Couldn't understand why at all at the time. And it really had an effect on me later on. Had an effect on me even later on down the line because it was never dealt with. Had an effect on me later on when it came to being in relationships. And I always felt kind of nasty. And it's interesting that your theme is inside. Oh, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They're all the same. And I say that because I like to stay connected with people and hear what you got from today if you got anything. And if you didn't get anything, like, yeah, you were pretty whack, so just want to let you know. But all of that being said, like, if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't even have the story that I have, which means I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I would have never had the opportunity to travel all over the world just using this gift. I think that the most beautiful thing is that because I went through those things, I learned to have a different relationship with God and know Him in a different type of intimacy. By not having a lot, you get these moments where God just shows up, so He really literally becomes your provider, not just the provider that you read about in the Bible or things like that. Cool. This piece is entitled The Truth Without Photoshop, and I will jump right into it. Cool? Again, if you hear something you agree with, or you're like, that was sick, or if you hear something that wasn't good, just do what you're doing now. I will not Photoshop the truth. I will not Photoshop the truth. As a means to appease the uncomfortability of truth, truthfully speaking. I will not crop out what others prefer to go unsaid or resize truth for the purposes of fitting your frame. I will not rotate or flip it so that when you first hear it, it feels less offensive. I believe scars are lessons learned, so I won't even fix any blemishes. I won't adjust the contrast to make the message a little bit brighter. And I won't add any special effects so the image looks more like me as opposed to Christ. I see beauty in what you may see as ugly. Because Christ somehow saw beauty in me. So I'd much rather shop His photo than Photoshop the truth. But He touched me. Oh, He touched me. And oh, the joy that floods my soul. But then something happened and now I know He touched me. And then He touched me again. Well, He was supposed to be babysitting. Had never left Cali, but now wasn't even sure what state of mind I was in. What I did know was that I was about 8, going on 9, and I wasn't afforded an opportunity to decline what would be defined as my first sexual encounter. Physical pain was secondary in comparison to how much my mind hurt, that I couldn't erase, that we were already at third base, and I feared would be forthcoming. I went from studying my 1, 2, 3s to three-way conversations with birds and bees. My thought process became a huge palette of complexities. Child life is no longer as easy as A, B, C. A, B, C. See, I always believed Christ. Didn't ever feel God had inadvertently just knowingly left me. Now, oppressed in penetration, quick in rage, Satan thought ugly variations would execute youthful zeal. But see, I wanted to know why. I was searching for a sign. I said I was searching for a sign. Why was this happening to me? Why was I being awakened out of my sleep to watch cartoons? I was a small child, making requests for oral sex, not because I liked it, but because it hurt less. And it sparked a strange curiosity. Every time a sex scene would pop on the TV screen, I would fake sick the next day to go back and watch what my mom didn't allow me to see. See, every issue begins with a small seed. So be careful what you're planting in your spirit. Because even though most feel like watching the graphic videos for your enjoyment alone, please take note, allow me to forewarn that 87% of child molesters admit to trying to imitate something they saw from watching porn. And then, he touched me. And this time, it was my own father. Now, sexually involved with the second man. All I knew was that I was about 9 going on 10. I was about 9 going on 10. What would make someone want to touch one of their own begot 10? Now, hyperextending my brain, trying to make sense of his intentions. All the while, teachers are saying she doesn't focus, she doesn't pay attention. I was going to every extent I knew. But still I was frightened, but what could not be forgotten. I felt used and thrown away like paper cups and plastic utensils at 9 going on 10. He told me to drink this cough syrup. I tried to explain I wasn't sick, but he kept giving me cough syrup. A weak attempt to try to get me high after I said no to Jose Cuervo. And as soon as my little brother went to sleep, he told me to come sit on his lap, kept shifting me in very uncomfortable positions, which I was somewhat familiar with because of the first encounter. My heart was beating out of my chest and tears began to roll down my eyes. That night, I slept at the bottom of the stairs. I went home the next day and I smiled like nothing happened. I said I smiled like nothing happened. Why? Because Satan is a deceiver, one who gives a false impression. Actually had me to believe that it had to be something that I had done. Why else would 2 grown men come after me? So I began to change the way I dressed. I started wearing baggy clothes because I figured it would draw less attention. And every Sunday, and I mean every single Sunday, I went to church praying that they would see in my eyes, but I didn't have the courage to verbalize, and yes, they saw all right. A women's meeting was held, and after service, I was brought to the front of the church as an example of what not to wear. They were so out of touch, so unaware. I just wished for one moment someone would look past the fact that I was wearing pants and more towards the reason why I did not want to wear a dress. I said I wished for one moment just someone would look past the fact that I was wearing pants and more towards the reason why I didn't want to wear a dress. I stood there quietly, but on the inside, I was screaming. Can anyone see that I'm hurting? Or shall we continue this debate on denominations and what these women are wearing to holy convocation? See, I assumed numbness meant healing. I just had to be delivered. Even though the sight of me, I hated. I took no pride in how I looked because I figured nobody wants somebody that's been molested. That's just nasty on top of complicated. So I took the pain, threw it in the back of my mind, stored it in a safe, and intentionally forgot the combination. Out of sight, out of mind. I mean, they prayed for me with blessed oil, so I had to be delivered, right? Or at least I figured. But years later, it began to resurface, and I started to experience memory triggers. It became obvious that I could no longer put a band-aid on a wound that needed surgery. God had to be looking down like that's not why I allowed it or who I created her to be. See, I had created a habit of pretending like things never happened. I thought I could concoct my own healing remedy as long as I was reading, praying, and fasting. But the wound was infected and began to spread to every area of my life. All because I didn't want to sign the consent form to go into God's knife. I didn't want the surgery. I didn't want to face reality. I didn't want to answer him. I wanted him to answer me. What kind of God will allow an innocent child to be molested? Will allow me to share with you one of the most beautifulest, ugliest revelations. The same God who sent his own son to die on a cross that most would be ungrateful for, and even more would take lightly. And even more, we crucify him again with our actions. And although there was no violence, there was any deceit found in his mouth, it pleased the Lord to bruise him. And that don't make no sense to us. But his ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. The glory of Christ is the resurrection, but you can't just skip the cross. You can't skip the suffering. Or all the souls he came for that were lost. I said you can't skip the suffering. Or all the souls he came for that are lost. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You may not see it, but he sees it clear. But some of us are running haphazardly in the dark due to fear. See, God has amazing plans for us. But we got hang-ups. We're hung up on trying to figure out why. Hung up on why us and why not some other child. Hung up on why were we the ones that had to deal with it, and hung up on not being able to forgive. But Christ is the ultimate hang-up. He was hung up for you. He was hung up for me. So enough with our hang-ups because his hang-up reigns supreme. So, to every little girl and every little boy who has ever felt defenseless, To every man and every woman who feels like the enemy is beating them senseless. To every swallowed cry in the middle of the night so that no one would hear. To every face buried in pillows to hide the tears. For every throat that the enemy tries to choke with asthmatic breaths of air, Christ is the breath of life. Let him be your inhaler. See, some of us would not hear it unless it was from somebody who went through. And in that case, he allowed me to stand as a testimony for you and let you know that it was worth it. It was worth every ounce of physical, mental, and spiritual pain. And I go through it again, even if he had me travel all the way when I was back in Minnesota to come all the way to San Jose, here at Valley Christian, and tell you over and over and over again that you have to let God get glory. Because like Paul, I reckon that the sufferings at this present time are just not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. Cool, I dropped the heavy one on you first. So, all right, cool. We're gonna transition quick, so I got a little bit of time. So that really jacked me up a lot. And then like I went through this whole thing where I don't need nobody, I don't need anybody, all I need is God, and that's it. And my grandmother's cooking, and poetry, and music, and some more of her food. And so I was cool, like I felt like I didn't need anybody, I felt like I didn't really want to be in a relationship at all. And then like, I was like, I don't know if you guys journal, but sometimes like I journal when I talk to God, and I was like, I don't want no man, like, all I need is you. And I was just going, and God was like, it's not the truth though. Like you want to be with somebody, but you don't trust me with that area of your life. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna argue with you, God, so I'm guessing you're right. So then I was like, okay, for real, I'll admit it. I want to be with somebody. So then like, every dude became a potential, like, the dude couldn't be my friend because I figured he was my potential. Like, is it you? Maybe you. Maybe you. And I think that women who are Christians don't flirt the same way as women who are not. So it's not like I didn't like walk around with like my cakes. I'm sorry. Cakes, for those of you who don't know, is like, it is, somebody's laughing because they know what cakes are. For those who don't know, cakes is another word for buttocks. I wouldn't walk around with my cakes hanging out or anything like that. But I had a Delilah-like spirit. So I was like, I grew up with brothers, so I know what they like. So I was like, and you know we change our voice when we get on the phone when we talk to them. So I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, what you doing? I said, I'm just over here, you know, I'm cooking and everything, about to get down on some Madden and just, you know, hang out. It's like, about to get on some Madden? Yeah, I mean, and some food. I mean, it's whatever. You want to come through? For sure. So then, I'm in the kitchen, and I promise you, I'm like, as soon as this brother tastes these tacos, please believe he ain't going nowhere. Please believe it. And so, like, I just went through that whole spiel, but then I had to really get to a point to where I had to understand that I was trying to force things and make things happen. And I was getting irritated because I had friends who was getting with people. And I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I thought I was cuter than my friend. I don't think I'm that fly. But you ever have a friend who's like, now how in the world did you get somebody before me? I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it. You don't even keep your toes done. Like you know. And for the ladies, like, we just don't expect much from the guy. We just don't. We just like, as long as he's a Christian, that's enough. Like, you know, like, and then, we lose our minds over stuff that's basic. Like, oh my gosh, did you see him worshiping today? He lifted up his hands and worshiped today. Oh my goodness. And then I just knew he was connected with God when he turned them in like this. Like, I just knew. Really. So this piece came from me, like, waiting and getting frustrated with waiting for God for somebody, but then coming to the understanding that even if God doesn't bless me to be in a relationship, I should be satisfied with just him. I mean, even when I got to that point, he did send somebody in my life, and I'm getting married this September, at the end of September. And he heard my cry. I mean, the brother he's training for the Olympics, so that's all I'll say about his body, so I'm grateful. Nothing wrong with that. So talk about worth the wait, brother. Hashtag that. Alright, so this piece is called Out of the Way. So it seemed that it was cool for everyone to be in a relationship but me. So I took matters into my own hands and ended up with him. Him who displayed the characteristics of a cheater, a liar, an abuser, and a thief. So why was I surprised when he broke into my heart? I called 911, but I was cardiac arrested for aiding and abetting because it was me who let him in. claiming we were just friends. It was already decided for me by the first date that even if he wasn't, I was going to make him the one. Because, I was tired of being alone. So I simply made up in my mind that it was about that time, so I decided to drag him along for the ride, because I was always the bridesmaid and never the bride. A virgin in the physical, but mentally just a grown woman on the corner and he who was tired of the wait, so I was going to make him the one. He had a form of godliness, but not much. But hey, I can change him, right? So I'll take him when he's close enough. Ready to sell my aorta for a quarter, not knowing the value of his use to me. My arteries so clogged with my will, it blocked his will from flowing through me. So I thank Christ that his blood pressure gave his heart an attack that flatlined my obscure vision, put me flat on my back. Through my ignorance, he saw. So through my sternum, he saw to crack open my chest to transplant Psalm 51:10. A new heart and a renewed right spirit within. So now I fully understand. Better yet, I thoroughly comprehend how much I need to wait for you. See, the bad thing is that I knew he wasn't you from the beginning. Because in the beginning was the word, and he didn't even sound or shine like your son. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, and all he could whisper was sweet, empty nothings, which meant nothing. He could not even pray when I needed him to. Asking him to fast would be straight absurd. So forget about being cleansed and washed with water through the word, but I know you. You are already praying for me. Even never having met me, let me assure you, I will wait for you. I will no longer date, socialize, or communicate with carbon copies of you to appease my boredom or to quench my thirsty desire for attention and short-lived compliments from sorta-kinders. They sorta-kinda right, but they sort of kind of wrong. His first name Luke, his last name Warren. See, I won't settle for false companionship. I will lay in the embrace of his arms, attempting to find some closeness, but never feeling so far apart because I just want to be held. Because all I gotta do is say no. No more almost sessions of passing weeks and buying drinks because I'm a flirt. See, I'm a flirt who flirts with the ideology of, God, can you just tell me how much I can get away with and still be safe? No more. I will stay in my bed, alone, and write poems about how I'll wait for you. He won't even come close. Our fingers won't even interlock. We won't even exchange breath because I have thoughts that I have saved after in a file that God has only equipped you to open. I will no longer get weighted down from so-called friends and family talks about the concern for my biological clock when I serve the author of time, who is not subject to time, but I'm subject to him. He has the ability to stop, fast forward, pause, and rewind at any given time. So if we could role play, you will be Abraham and I will be Sarah. Or you could be Isaac and I could be Rebecca. Serpents answer prayer. I am bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh, made up of your rib, Adam. And when we meet, like electrons, I will be bound to your nucleus, completely indivisible atom. We even speak the same math. 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, which really equals 1 if you add it. We were all created in his image, but you have the ability to reflect, project, and even detect the sun. If I had to explain what he looks like, I would have to say he looks like a star, a son of the sun. I would gain energy simply from the light that he shines on me. I would need him in order to complete my photosynthesis. I await his revelation, but once again from the Genesis, I will wait for you. And I will know you. Because when you speak, I will be reminded of Solomon's wisdom. His ability to lead will remind me of Moses. His faith will remind me of Abraham. His confidence in God's word will remind me of Daniel. His inspiration will remind me of Paul. His heart for God will remind me of David. His attention to detail will remind me of Noah. His integrity will remind me of Joseph. Either one, take your pick. And his willingness to abandon his own will remind me of the disciples. But his willingness to love selflessly and unconditionally will remind me of Christ. But I don't have to identify him by any special Matthews or any special marks, because his word will be tatted all over his heart. And he will know me. And he will find me where the loyalty of Ruth meets the boldness of Esther, where the hospitality of Lydia is aligned with the submission of Mary, which is engulfed in the tears of a praying Hannah. I will be the one drenched in Proverbs 31, waiting for you. But to my Father who has known me before was birthed into this earth only if you should see fit. I desire your will above mine, so even if you called me to a life of singleness, my heart is content with you, the one who was sent. You are the greatest love story ever told, the greatest love ever known. You are forever my judge, and I'm forever your witness. And I pray that I'm always found on a mission about my Father's business. I will always be yours. And I'll always wait for you, Lord, more than the watchman waits for the morning. More than the watchman waits for the morning. I will wait. Okay. I'm going to keep it moving because I got a little bit of time to stuff this one in. This is just a piece entitled Flesh and Spirit, and it's just really, I think, what you guys deal a lot with in high school period. It's just like trying to make the right decision between flesh and spirit, or for those who watch cartoons, that little devil on the one side and the little angel on one side of the shoulder. So that's basically where the peace comes from. With a knife to my throat and guns to my head, the enemy is not stopping until I'm put to rest. And he'll rejoice, and he'll clap, and he'll sing when not just me, but my purpose is dead. But he don't know I've been dead before. I've overdosed on my sinful blows. My eyes still shut, no oxygen flow. Ice cold and a tag with my name on my toe. I thought I was cute and glamorous, hanging with them cadavers. Misled, walking dead will sin spread because it was cancerous. And I can't fathom this. Love where he came, yanking keys, breaking chains, and called my name like Lazarus. See, they mad because he chose a wretch like me, with a past like me, that looked like me. He came back for the one little sheep. That little sheep happened to be me. He is my identity. Now his face on my photo ID. I'm just a branch on a vine that extends to me all the way from Calvary. Yes, he is the God of change. Before Sam Cooke and Obama campaigns, he's the one that broke the chains before Abe Lincoln freed the slaves. Off his grace, I stay amazed. They can say what they want to say. Nothing will ever separate. Check the reference, Romans 8. Because I could read every single thing from Genesis to Revelation. Even read it 20 times and never get a revelation. I could go and feed the homeless, and I could wear that real long dress. You know, the one with the sleeve to the wrist and the collar that goes all up to the neck. I could go and pray for hours. Better yet, a 41-day fast. That will prove my dedication. That will prove that I can last. I got a seat in the front of the church now. I'm bigger than you. Got a seat in the front of the church, no longer clean the bathrooms. I can give up everything. My house, my car, my rings. All I ask is you please make sure that someone else is watching. Did you take that picture, Lord, when I wrote that big fat check? Is it time to reap what I sowed? Is it time for my increase yet? You say you're coming back. Just wait. Oh, please, not yet. I haven't met my boo. Haven't had my kids yet. If he comes back, then I know I'm getting in. All these brownie points, Betty Crocker's my best friend. But we have to abandon all we have carnally known to be true. Stop altering the scripture to find a better fit for you. We candy coat the truth, just like M&M's. Melts in your mouth now, eternal fire in the end. You stick with the lies, and you think it's all gravy. So what you think you're getting in because you pledged some money that you're paying in Haiti? Listen, my flesh got an offer to join the losing team, but I would be the star and individually be supreme. My soul in exchange for benefits and perks, flying higher than Larry's bird, the best they ever heard. But I chose the winning team, so when my flesh is yearning, gotta cast it down early like James and walk worthy. Too many Reverend Scottie Pippins trying to assist with religious twists. The whole point is missed when the cross even exists. The problems we're facing are bigger than race, denomination, or Guitar Hero Extreme Expert on PlayStation 3 in one. Father, Spirit, Son, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. He did it all for you. Tortured and bruised for you. He even knew before he came what he had to go through. And still, he came just for you. A spatting face for you. Exposed bones, torn flesh, and open back for you. A crown of thorns for you. Hail, King of the Jews, not rejected, despised, all just for you. Oh yes, the nails went through his feet and hands for you. Father, into thy hands his last breath for you. A guilt offering, a ransom made just for you. But what you fail to understand is that it should have been you. Because we are guilty. Lord knows we're filthy. I mean, you know all the things you've done. I'm saying it. Come on, feel me. God, my Father, sent his Son, the way, the truth, and the life. And the best way to think of is with the way you live your life. But sometimes I just get so sick of myself. Don't ask if I'm fine, cause I ain't doing so well. Said it was the last time, but here I am again. Do I sink? Do I swim when the walls are closing in? Do I sink? Do I swim when I can't see the end? Do I sink? Do I swim, 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 swim? Shh. If you are quiet enough, you can hear it. There's a war going on between your flesh and your spirit. Must admit, at times I fear it like teenagers with pregnancy tests. Although I may never verbally speak on my issue, what's inside will grow and confess, and there will be no doubt what's inside will come out, and where will I spend eternity? What will get the best of me? See, I'm a victim of satisfying flesh and living spirit with what's left of me. Practically nothing. My spirit connects with children in Africa because it's so malnutrition. My flesh at times feels guilty and tries to attend these assemblies hoping to stumble across divine intervention instead of just taking one moment to listen to you. My flesh has lied to me. Yes, I have lied to myself because do we really want truth? are we really ready to hear the problem is not them, it's you? Like me? It's not possible. Yes, me. The slave to sin that's been set free, but still wears the chains willingly. Killing me, feel me, because this is war. Flesh against spirit, unskilled with the sword. Dancing on the mercy of my grandmother's prayers like that's going to get me in heaven's doors. Fully aware it takes so much more. Must be transformed, strive for perfection, bring flesh under subjection, pray through the pain, fast but not in vain. Turn off the TV, shut off the radio, get down on my face and cry out for repentance until my face breaks and ended in the floor. See, the spirit must mature. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, and when I failed, he picked me up, he died for my sins, but do I love him enough not to go there again? And if I don't get out right now, then there in sin is where I'll die. Now, flesh is trying with all of its might, me trying to convince me to be comfortable with sin and trying to justify and make it all right. Strategically reading scriptures like, love is kind and love is patient. Psalms and no revelations, face it. You want to be in the battle and win with no training and no discipline. So I press towards. Although I bear the scars of sin's cracked whips, I move forward and die to self instead of to sin. Because if I don't get out right now, I will die. If I don't get out right now, I will die. God's not giving me a spirit to fear it. But shh, if you are quiet enough, you can hear it. There's a war going on between your flesh and your spirit. So why try to justify it? First step, just stop denying. We all need to make a change. Oh, can't you feel the pain? Come on, keep holding on. Brother, you gotta stay strong. Sisters, still sing your song. Cause soon a change gonna come. Don't look for help from them. They struggle with the same sin. You try to duck and dodge, keep your friends away from harm. Lean on the everlasting arms, he'll keep you safe and warm. Wake up and sound the alarm, hurry get your war clothes on. I hope for better days, I'm hoping for a change. I'm hoping and I pray without delay. I know you think you got time, can't tell who's on your side. I'm hoping that you get it right, I pray you see the light, the light. Thank you.